Good evening once again. Same date, July 29th, 2012. I was rudely interrupted, I think, by my battery dying on my camcorder. We were in the middle of talking about, oh, by the way, this is Victor's interpretation of the history of progressive rock, part 2. Forced upon myself by my camera's battery giving out. We were in the middle of talking about a passion play. Probably one of the most original, most underrated, most beautiful records I've ever heard. It's just so original and so uplifting and complex, and you know, Ian's trashes it now, but I think it's genius. I think it's brilliant. It's up there with the top 5 albums of all time. Probably Pawn Arts, which we touched upon in part 1 of this series. Thick as a Brick, which is the prequel to A Passion Play, which is the reason why they made Passion Play, I think, because Thick as a Brick was like a spoof on concept albums. So obviously they had to make one more serious concept album before they went into the non-concept era of their history. Other things we haven't touched upon, I think I talked about Fool's Mate, one of the best albums ever made. And I forgot to mention Hugh Banton is all over Fool's Mate. And I forgot to mention Hugh Banton is probably just as important as Peter Hammill is to Van de Graaff Generator, as far as, it's funny, I was recording the Van de Graaff concert with this phone, an HTC phone, and I had the flash on without knowing it, and I was recording a song. I don't remember what song we were playing, and I was sitting in the second row, and Hugh Banton actually had a roadie come up to me and told me to put my camera down. I felt terrible. I was so upset. And I think Hugh Banton noticed how physically upset I was, and he went like this to me, and I'll never forget that the rest of my life. Seen a lot of him. Saw him in London in 2005, saw him in Times Square in 2009, and saw Van de Graaff in New York City, Beacon Theater in 1976 when I was a child. Alright, so, getting back to a quick summary of what we were talking about. We were also talking about Relayer and the way Yes went into unfortunately, only one album, although the next album was great with The Return of Wakeman going for the one. This, to me, this and maybe Close to the Edge and maybe the Yes album, the Bruford Fragile thing, was I mean, you couldn't touch that. Can't touch this. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, so, let's see what we got here. Let's see. This just came out, Van de Graaff Jr. in the studio. They're old men. I mean, they make me look young, that's how old they are, which is pretty scary. But they play beautifully. I mean, they play like they never got old. Lots of things here. Really in the prog genre, but I don't know how the actual cover I do of the CD was a album by a band called Modern Neon. It's kind of like the Dark Side of the Moon in the 1980s, but unfortunately the 80s. Can't really talk about the 80s when I'm doing a history on prog rock now, or art rock, or progressive rock now, can I? Black Box, I think we mentioned this. It was the 1980 solo album, coincidentally, by Peter Hammill. Had Flight on it. Had tons of stuff on side 1, which sounded a lot like, thanks to Random Hold, the new wave discos I was going to at the time, you know. It was just very, like that, you know. It was just very, very kind of electro. It was very electro. In Camera probably has the best kind of progressive song of Have You, you know, if you can say that, would be the second side, which would be Gog and Magog and Bromine Chambers. No one's ever gone close. I mean, it's just, you got to listen to it because it's just unidentifiable, unexplainable. It's just amazingly beautiful record. All the Hammill solos were very interesting. All the Van de Graaff albums are very interesting. We have God Bluff. We have World Record. Still Life. I think they came out in succession, but not in that order. Quiet Zone, Pleasure Dome. Fool's Mate, which is one of my island albums. Silent Corner, Empty Stage, which, talk about progressive rock. I mean, this guy, I don't want to like make this a Peter Hammill thing or a Van de Graaff Generator thing, but, you know, for me, any other band, like maybe Yes, definitely Genesis, definitely King Crimson, definitely Pink Floyd, Gentle Giant, PFM, I could go on and on and on, ELP, but Peter Hammill, Chameleon in the Shadow of the Night, you just can't really, I mean, no one's actually quite done it like that. Talked about this before, I think when I was a very young child I got this. Love the cover, so I bought it. Couldn't get past side one for about 6 months. I mean, that's how much of a shock, if everybody useful word. Let me check to see if we're still recording. Okay, it looks like we're still recording, but I don't want the battery to drop on me again, so I'm going to try and make this as fast as I possibly can, okay? So anyway, Nursery Crime, the third Genesis album. We have other things here like Acquiring the Taste by Gentle Giant. I spoke to you about them prior. Or maybe that was a part of the tape I cut off. Take a quote from this record. They said, "It is our goal to expand the frontier of contemporary popular music at the risk of being highly unpopular." I mean, man, come on. Why can't everyone take that approach? That's where it's really at. Who cares what people like? Play for your head and your heart. Anyway, so after going through a brief history, and like I said, I don't really want to get into too much detail, I'm going to upload this to YouTube, and I hope you enjoyed Victor's little history of progressive rock. Thank you.